Alligator Alcatraz. You ever heard of this? Okay, it's the controversial detention facility opened by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, where Trump is sending undocumented immigrants. Families of detainees say the conditions are horrible and dangerous, but some MAGA faithful are treating it like some kind of tourist attraction. There's even Alligator Alcatraz merchandise for sale. That's weird. Immigration was a big issue in the last election, but did most people think they were voting for this?
So I think an unexpected voice kind of nailed how a lot of the public feels about this. I have a clip from Joe Rogan I want to play.
There's two things that are insane. One is the targeting of migrant workers, not cartel members, not gang members, not drug dealers, just construction workers showing up in construction sites and raiding them. Gardeners.
Yeah.
Like, really?
97% of adults support deporting people who are undocumented and committed crimes in this country. We're in a Manhattan studio audience. I bet everyone here agrees with that. If Donald Trump focused on securing the border, which he's done, and takes his time to actually prioritize people who committed crimes, gives them due process, and then if they're found guilty, deports them, most Americans support this, but there's this headline chasing that's going on, wanting to say we're rounding up this many people. I've deported more people than Obama has. And what it's led to is his numbers plummeting on immigration, because most of the public knows people who are undocumented, knows them in their community, thinks that people who've known no other life somewhere are deeply tied into where they've lived most of their lives. They should have a chance at being here. That's just where the public is.
Right.
So it seems like an unforced error. And I would say, the way that I think if you're somebody who's really disturbed by things like Alligator Alcatraz and feels like the targeting of certain migrants is making you really uncomfortable, call your lawmaker, because what I am seeing is an uptick in rhetoric against CBP and ICE enforcers who are dealing with this problem because they're being told by the President of the United States that they have to. And then this past week, there was a very dangerous attack on CBP officials in McAllen, Texas. Several people were injured. The perpetrator was actually neutralized. But that's also something we don't want to see, is an uptick in violence against law enforcement who are doing their jobs. So if you have a problem with this, talk to your lawmaker. That's the place to do it.
If they would do their jobs the way that I think they should be doing their jobs, which is unmasked without disappearing people from the streets, I don't think that the public would feel as endangered, because if someone approaches my loved one who's undocumented with a mask, how do I know that they're actual law enforcement? How do I know that they work for ICE? So that's one thing I'll say.
There's actually people who have impersonated ICE officers.
But do they show an ID?
They don't show IDs. No. They're not dressed appropriately. They're not flagged, and they're masked. And so in my world, if you mask yourself because you don't want to be seen, because there will be a reckoning for some of the actions that actual law enforcement have done. But I'll also say this, I don't want to hear anything ever in this country again about not being able to house people, not being able to, no affordable housing, because they put this thing up in 8 days. 8 days. So where there is a will,
there's a way.
There is a way.
But that's also not where we would house people in America. We should want better conditions for undocumented migrants and Americans.
Well, I think this, the big, beautiful bill, or whatever we're calling that. Yeah, that bill, it kind of told us everything we need to know about what was being prioritized by the government. Money talks. So $45 billion is being spent on detention centers, $36 billion for hiring and training ICE officers and Border Patrol agents, and only $3.3 billion for hiring immigration judges, attorneys, and support staff. So we aren't investing in actual solutions. We're investing in fear. It's all about the fear-mongering.
Cruelty.
Yes, and so I think that's the heart of the issue here, is if the focus was on fixing a broken system, and as you said, following the right processes, which we were told over and over and over, we're going to take violent criminals, and that is not what we're seeing.
Right. Anna, do you think that there are any undocumented immigrants at Mar-a-Lago?
Actually, you may joke about it, but
I'm not joking.
when Donald Trump was first running, there were reports and there were cases that were put out in the media of undocumented immigrants working in his resorts and his hotels that were working for him.
Right. Yeah.
So the answer would have been yes. But look, this is horrible. What's happening is horrible. If you are out there in the Everglades, driving out there and getting out of your car to take a picture, like if it was the Eiffel Tower, you are a racist and you are a horrible human being. And, you know, I don't think, and by the way, there's like Cubans who are legal permanent residents who are in that detention center right now, because this is not just about undocumented immigrants. When you are taking away temporary protective status, when you are putting legal permanent residents in detention and deporting them, when you are threatening U.S. citizens that you don't like, that you're going to take away their citizenship, naturalized ones, when you are talking about birthright citizenship and taking that away, this is not about going after the criminals and the gang members. This is about making America white again and otherizing everybody who is an immigrant. Because think about this, just think about this. At the same time that they are rounding up Latino immigrants, brown immigrants, they are opening up the doors for white South Afrikaners fleeing from a non-existent genocide. And so look, this is about, I think, one, deporting people, and two, scaring people out of this country. That is why he said, you know, he has sent people to a gulag in El Salvador, disappeared them, a gulag where people only leave if they're dead. That is why he's using military personnel in LA to go into parks where children are playing, to terrorize people.
And why are Republican congressmen putting up with this?
Because they're a bunch of cowards, as is Marco Rubio, whose grandfather had a deportation order at a time. And I wonder, you know, and Marco Rubio, and I'm going to speak to Marco because I've supported him. He was my friend for so many years. Damn it. He built his career on railing against the dictatorships in Cuba and Venezuela and Nicaragua, and he is standing in complicit silence as this administration returns people to those cruel dictatorships.
Well, also utilizing his being of immigrant family members as something too loud and like build it off. When he ran, those were things he said. I'm from an immigrant family, so he rose up on that.
Aren't the Trump kids also from immigrant families? I mean,
they're all
their
from immigrant families. Melania is a naturalized citizen. Is he going to is he going to take her citizenship away? I don't know. Well, but I want to say one other thing about following the money, because I think that you made a good point, Sarah, because who built and is making money off of Alligator, Alcatraz? Republican donors. They invested millions to elect congresspeople, to elect Donald Trump, and they are getting rewarded. Democrats are saying this was a pay-for-play scheme. That's what Alligator Alcatraz is also about.
And people under 18, we are already a majority-minority country. That means that there are 50% are a minority, are not white. And we were, as a country, in route to, in a few years, be overall in the population a majority minority country.
Them.
They are trying to make America white again. Don't fool yourselves.
It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. They can't do it. You can't just lock everybody
but in the
up.
meantime, there's a lot of suffering and a lot
Well, just the guy, there's a man who was in this place, and he said the food was rotten, the toilets were flooded with excrement, the air conditioning broke, and the detainees had to swat away mosquitoes in the sweltering heat. He said he wasn't allowed to shower for 4 days.
By the way, I heard that man. His name is La Figura. He is a Cuban reggaeton singer. And Cuban Americans, one of his largest supporting group, one of the biggest groups that supported Donald Trump.
Okay.
Screw around and find out.